Hello, welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Stupid. It's Tuesday the 17th of September. Just a little reminder that it's available on all good podcast platforms, also available on YouTube on video. Clearly, if you're watching on video or you're listening on podcast already, then I'm telling you the obvious. But for those that didn't know, it's available in the alternative. Just going to kick straight off with, I was talking about Rambo yesterday and the Rambo films, and I wanted to make a reference to a real life Rambo, in my opinion, or somebody who was pretty brave, was the ex-Welsh rugby international Gareth Thomas, that came out a while ago as being gay in a world of macho sportsmen. He also this weekend came out as being HIV positive. On the back of some people were blackmailing him and threatening to spill his secrets, so he decided to come out with his own words and in his own way. And that's quite brave of him to do that. And also it's quite poignant because he did it on the same weekend that he was taking part in a triathlon. So it just shows that he can not only survive but also thrive even with a HIV diagnosis. So we got a lot of positive messages from and support from all quarters, but there's always going to be a negative, and the papers are going to be looking for it. And they scraped the barrel to find this one, and it was from X Factor winner Steve Brookstein. Remember him? X Factor winner Steve Brookstein. No, I couldn't remember him either. But it does exist, and he had an opinion which was, actually we all have opinions on drinkers, smokers and obese people. Why should HIV be any different? It's yet another avoidable burden to the NHS. So it's a good job that X Factor winner Steve Brookstein's opinion has no validity, and nobody has any interest. Anybody with any sense will have interest in a comment like that. So it's a negative comment in a sea of positivity. So anyway, if you did have a fan, they've wrote here, one fan replied, "I'd love to know if you know the circumstances under which Gareth actually contracted HIV. Was it a choice like putting food and cigarettes in your mouth? I highly fucking doubt it." So if she was a fan, she's just jumped ship on the back of that negative comment. So just goes to show you got to watch what you say on social media, because even if you are a Z-list, because you're going to get chastised for it, and the papers are going to be looking for anything that they can stick in the headlines. So anyway, somebody else who hit the headlines for being a fucking idiot was a Tesco's shelf stacker who acted as a getaway driver in a £6,000 raid on his own store. So he's phoned in sick and then basically waited outside while his two mates robbed the shop. So he's obviously the mastermind, because he must have told them where everything was. And it looks like he's the only one who got caught, because they found the getaway car and they found his fingerprints on the gear stick. It's probably his car, I don't know if it was, but anyway, he is the only one who's got sent down for it. So he tried to give himself a pay rise, ended up giving himself a prison cell. So close, but no cigar on that one, I'm afraid. Sinead O'Connor, I nearly said there, because that's how you read it. Sinead O'Connor claims that a drug-addled prince tried to beat her up when she refused to become his protege and stop swearing. First, when she said I claimed a drug-addled prince, I was trying to think, who's that then? My mind straight away went to Prince Andrew for a second. I don't know why. Current headlines aside. But she's actually talking about Prince, the musician. Prince, which he wrote her song, didn't he? Nothing compares to you. I nearly sang it then, and nearly ruined it. But he sang that song. He wrote that song for her in 1990. And I always wondered how she came to be. He wrote the song for her, but she was a young girl from Ireland. He's obviously a superstar in America. How they came to sort of be in contact, ain't got time to find out. But anyway, he chased her around her house and was trying to beat her up and tell her to stop swearing. So he was telling her off at the same time as trying to beat her up, by the sound of it. But this is her words, not mine. So she said he chased her out of the house and chased him down the highway in his car. And then they were she was spitting at him, and he was threatening to do this, that and the other to her. And she said he was into some very dark drugs. So, he was a strange guy, and he was a strange guy, and he also did lots of brilliant music. So usually that concoction would come on the back of some very good drugs. So you know, unfortunately, most artists are unhinged and a little bit fucking off their head, aren't they? So without the drugs, where would you be? Westlife or somewhere like that. There's a lot of clean-cut musicians who are fucking really shit. So you know, what do you want? Good music? Then somewhere you got to have your crazies making it. Unfortunately, but not unfortunately. If drugs are creative, if he's basically suffering himself to create the music, if anything, isn't he? Because he ended up dying on the back of drug overdose. So, you know, it's not clever in the end of the day, but at the same time, a lot of good tunes come out of it. So, you know, you've got to take the rough with the smooth, as they say. Right, talking about the rough, fucking kicking off in Iran still, isn't it? So I don't know much about this, but all I do know is that they're saying that Iran has bombed oil tankers in Saudi Arabia, and whereas fucking President Trump said he wouldn't get involved with anything in Saudi Arabia, he's going right. We're waiting to see who has caused the attack and under what terms we will proceed. So he's waiting on Saudi Arabia to confirm, and then he's also saying that we're locked and loaded and ready to go. So that don't sound fucking good, does it? It sounds like a bit of fucking warmongering there, or a little bit of like chest puffing. And you know, there's only going to be people who are going to suffer in that situation. That is the fucking soldiers and the people, or innocent people. And it's going to fuck the world up if you start going down that road. So let's def the cowboy antics and the fucking bravado and send somebody in with a bit of sense or sensibility, and not Donald Trump or his war hawks or whatever, and Saudi Arabia for that matter. I just want to say that if I was a soldier and an American soldier, I'd be fucking nervous right now, because, and English actually, because we'll be fucking soon be right behind them, following them into every conflict, don't we? So hopefully somebody calms the shit down, and hopefully they sort it out before it goes that far. On another light-hearted note, somebody has found a dog's dinner, a Yorkshire pudding that looks like a dog's face. It doesn't look nothing like a dog's face. The canine creation was accidentally crufted at a bistro that used to be a betting shop. So you see how I went from the war in Iran to a what's it called, a Yorkshire pudding that looks like a dog's face. Literally, this is totally unorganised, as you can see. Anyway, does it look like a dog's face? Right, I'm going to show it to the video. It does a little bit, doesn't it? I'll tell you what, it didn't when I first looked at it in the paper, but when I'm showing it to that video there, it actually has got a little bit of resemblance to a fucking dog's face. So there you go, woof woof. If the person there has ever had a dead dog, she'll probably think it's a message just come to, the dog's come back to say a little last woof woof to show he's all right. Anyway, that was a Yorkshire pudding found in a bistro that used to be a betting shop. Why that's relevant, I don't know, to the story. It isn't. So there's a bit of light-heartedness from going from war-mongering Americans down to dog-shaped Yorkie puddings. Security at race tags. Boots have been accused of racism for putting security tags on hair products for black customers, while ones for white people were untagged. The makeup artist was shocked to see the anti-theft devices in one store on certain products and not on others. I don't know, are you clutching a bit at straws on that one? Maybe certain products are being nicked more than others. Maybe certain products are maybe they haven't got round to putting security tags on everything yet. You know, maybe you were going to nick them and then you got a bit disappointed because they had security tags on them all of a sudden. I don't think it's a racist thing. Obviously it's down to something being nicked a lot, and if it's an expensive product, people who can, you know, who shoplifters, usually drug addicts and stuff like that, they'll nick anything that's most expensive and then sell them on to somebody else. So you can't say the shop is saying that it's black people that are nicking them. You can just say that they're getting nicked by somebody, and maybe they're selling them to black people sometime further down the line, because if that's their end user. But anyway, it's a little bit tenuous, really. I mean, fucking, you're going around the shop sort of, you know, eyeing up. You're looking for racism there, aren't you, really, I guess, if anything. I doubt somebody's done that with that in mind. Bland designs from the over the last 40 years, fake fruit ornaments and shag pile carpets are among the most hated decor trends of the last 40 years. And it's got like pictures of bowls of fruit and fluffy toilet seats. If you still got any of these, then shame on you, I think. Green scream avocado bath decor. I thought that was coming back, the old green bath sets and the old sort of lemon yellow bath sets. They're quite retro. I think people are buying them. They're coming back in fashion. They're slagging them off here. Pebble dash on the outside of houses. That is fucking proper shit, isn't it? Pebble dash on the outside of houses. That doesn't look great. Whoever designed that must have just thought, you know, especially in grey, dreary English climate or weather, you know, with the great grey skies or whatever. You don't put like grey pebble dash on houses. It just looks miserable. And I grew up on a council estate where many houses were covered in that, and I could say it didn't do people's fucking moods any good growing up, skins, and then having to look at that, you know, growing up in that environment. It just looked miserable. So thanks very much for that. I've turned into a right miserable get on the back of having to walk around looking at grey, miserable pebble dash houses. Also, the worst, and this one was the worst for me, carpet in the toilet. When people used to have their carpets toilets, some people still do. That's just vile, isn't it? You know, you can imagine it now. People imagine what you know now when you haven't got a carpet, and when you get unsavoury people pissing all over your fucking floor when they come to use your toilet, and really it'd be lost inside the carpet, wouldn't it, over many years. Oh, that must have been like a. They could probably use that in a sort of weapon, you know, the amount of germs and stuff in their germ warfare. Just pick up an old bathroom carpet from the 1970s and put it into a few little vials or whatever and put them in little bombs and send them over and fucking use them as germ warfare. Probably just as dangerous as mustard gas. Yeah, so, and lots of other things there that but the fluffy toilet seat and the pebble dash house and the carpeted toilets are the three main things for me. So if you got any of those, sort yourself out, get yourself a fucking interior designer in, because you're definitely stuck in an old depressing way of decorating your house. An OAP is the first an OAP has got her first tattoo at the age of 94. The great gran is thought to be the oldest Brit to get her first tattoo. Hilda West has had a tattoo done at her care home. She's had a little tattoo on her wrist for the initials of her husband Ernest and her son David, both deceased. And she's got what's it called? She's got the bug for it now, and she wants to get another one of a butterfly or a peacock next. So she's 94. So by the time she gets to 100, she's going to be fucking head to toe, isn't she? She's just going to be. She's, you know, gets addictive, doesn't it, the old tattoos? So she's going to be thinking of all sorts of things. She'll be having what's it called, Max Bygraves tattooed on her arse and all sorts of other things. Whatever, it just goes to show that he's still young at heart even at 94, doesn't he? And this other guy, and I've seen this guy around as well because he's in Brighton, a World War II veteran who hid his sexuality for more than 60 years, says he finally living the life he wanted, aged 96. George Montague was in the RAF. He only came out after a long marriage and having 3 kids. And he drives around on his little scooter with a big sign saying he's the oldest gay in the village. So he's gone from being can't talk about it to fucking promoting it, and he drives around with all these banners and everybody chats to him and everything else, and he's always got these little colourful stuff on. I'm showing a picture to the video podcast. Imagine an old guy sitting there with a flamboyant rainbow scarf around his neck and a cigarette holder with a, you know, looking the part, if you like, and good for him, because you know, he wants to shout it out now, then in what time he's got left, and a lot of people are supporting him in that as well. So what was deemed to be quite hard to do, and now he's like feel liberated. So little lesson there for anybody else in a similar situation. A guy, travel nut Simon Wilson, sort of like this guy, this guy, I'd like to do this. He went travelling to, well, it's a little bit fast to be honest, but he went to 7 wonders of the world in 7 days. So he actually was knackered by doing it. He must have done it as part of some kind of video blog or something or other. But he's been to Petra. Where's Petra? I don't actually know where. Where the fuck's Petra? Oh, Jordan, Egypt and Jordan. Taj Mahal, the Great Wall of China, Chichen Itza, Colosseum, and Christ the Redeemer, and the pyramids. So he's been all those places in 7 days, and he's only slept in a bed twice, and he's had to sleep on the planes, and he's managed to do it and do his plan. I tell you what, it was a feat to be able to do that in the world of fucking delayed flights and every other shit that gets in the way. He's managed to do that without one delay and just about come in under 7 days and 21,248 miles. So he's probably knackered and had about like 5-minute stop at each place, but that's quite a good look at the picture of the world there where he's gone all around the world. All them stops. I'm just showing a picture of the map and he's been all over it. So that was a good thing to do. There's quite a few on there that I haven't been to, so I would like to get to. I'm gonna have to copy his idea now. I can't do it now. I have to do it in my own version. I'll do it in the delayed version. It'll take me a year to get around when I set out to do it in 7 days or something like that. Lost my wallet, lost my passport, ended up in the nick and all the other shit that goes wrong because I fly by the seat of my pants, and a lot of the time that means that you fucking do everything back to front. Anyway, what's this? A couple have vowed not to reveal their baby's gender to leave, and they've decided to leave everything on the table for the child to decide later. Shante, Annette, Humphrey and Jake, and forget the names, has kept the sex of their 14-month-old kid, baby, from their parents for almost a year, and the couple are basically calling him they. This is in the after all this binary stuff going on, isn't they? And they're basically dressing him in blue clothes, girl clothes, boy clothes, or whatever else, and they're letting the kid decide whether he's male or female. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that's just ridiculous. Something just happened on the screen there. That's just ridiculous. They're letting the kid decide whether they're basically saying they're trying to save him from a world of unconscious bias on gender, and they will allow their child to pick their sex when they are older. That is just literally trying to find something to find a way to behave, isn't it? That hasn't been done yet, surely. I mean, does it really matter? Why can't if the kid is born with a penis, is at first is a boy. If he's born with a vagina, he's born. You know, they'll decide as they grow up, when they decide their identity. That is just confusing for everybody concerned, because the kid doesn't know whether, you know, if he thinks he's a girl and he's got a penis at that age, what they're gonna. It's twisting my mind trying to talk about it, so I think I better get off the topic. But I think it's just a stupid way to start out, isn't it? I mean, if this support the kid if he starts to show, you know, if he's a boy and he starts playing with dolls, support it that way. You can't just start going, right, we're going to let you decide and confuse the shit out of the kid, because he probably would choose the opposite one and not know why. And then we'd be confused in reverse. Oh, God, it's confusing me just talking about it. Sorry, let's move on to something else that is going to confuse the hell out of you now when I say this, because I'm not the most eloquent of speakers, that's for sure. And my vocabulary is very narrow. A star planet, an ex-supernova they found an ex-supernova which is 700,000 times heavier than the Earth. the supernova being a star or a neutron star. And it's that heavy. It's only 15 miles long, right? How the hell they know this, I'll never know. I mean, any maths at my primary school would never have put me in a position where I'd be, or physics would never put me in a position where I'd understand any of these calculations. But 15 miles wide this planet is, or this star. And basically they said that a sugar cube size version of it, a sugar cube size piece of that planet would weigh 100 million tons. That is the equivalent, they're saying, as the entire human race. So a sugar cube that size would weigh 100 million tons on the basis on how heavy that planet is. So why we need to know it, I don't know, but they've spent a lot of time in figuring that out. So congratulations, whoever has made that. It could just say anything, couldn't they? They could just fucking make that up and we'd believe it. Who am I to say that they're not telling the truth? They're boffins of the highest order. So so there you go. We know something we may need to know in the future. Who knows when it will ever become important. But let's go on to other things of size, and that is a bit of gutter news repeat. Low grade news reporting here, and we're talking about penis sizes. And it's got a list of people here who have been born blessed or otherwise with a large penis, apparently. Is that a cucumber in your pocket? Well endowed men bear all. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys here, 9 inches, 8 inches, 9.5 inches, and 10 inches respectively. And they've all got their comments on their on what it's like to be born with a large penis. What's he say here? It's always kept this guy confident from getting changed in the gym to impressing his new sexual partner. I've never had to worry about my size or getting naked. And his missus said, Joey's the largest I've ever been with, but it's no problem to me. He's the perfect size and he's definitely improved our sex life. So she's fucking right on board with it. Happy as Larry, she is. The next guy, Chris, has an 8-inch aubergine, are saying here. I've had girls who have refused to have sex with me because my penis is too big. Sad times, you know, hard life, hard lines, because he's too big, around 8 inches when erect. And he basically saying having a big penis doesn't mean sex will be good for the woman. After all, it's not the size of the ocean, it's the motion in the ocean. I don't know, he's basically quoting a cheesy line there, and he says, I envy guys with an average size penis. 6 inches would be more than enough for me. Poor sod, isn't he? His missus has said that Chris's penis is like a big vegetable, and I nearly died. That's why they're calling him the aubergine man. And I nearly died of shock when I first saw it. And she said, with a bigger penis, you have lots to experiment with, lots of positions. You have to experiment with lots of positions. The best for me is on top, so I can control it. So she's like figured out how to use his gear stick there, and well, he's in 8 inches, so then you're getting up to 9.5-inch carrot man here. He's growing up to, I always had to get trousers tailored around the crotch area. So all those people, you know, who always wanted to have a big penis or a big dick, you know, there you go. It's not so rosy. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. I've always been very gentle with partners. I've had girls burst into tears from pain during sex. Before I met his girlfriend said, before I met Joe, I never had sex with a man whose penis was above 6 inches. And she basically had to go to doctors to learn yoga lessons or whatever. And now she's got used to it because she's loosened up a bit or whatever else. So, okay, now sounds like a right old. If you noticed how I don't, I've not been able to agree or to what's the word, corroborate or join in with these conversations. Albert, 10-inch cucumber man, he's basically saying that it's wrecked a lot of his relationships and he has a high sex drive, but women say that he's just too fucking painful for them. and he basically has to be careful even when he's buying boxers and trousers because they can feel too uncomfortable. So there you go. It's not all rosy out there. Actually, I remember there's a guy called Long Dong Silver. Was it Long Dong Silver? He was a porn star in the 1970s, and he's a black guy with a fucking, you know, the stereotypical big penis. I mean, he literally had the biggest penis I've ever seen. Not that I was looking, but it was in a magazine, and somebody showed it to me because fucking it was like a jaw dropper. He actually had it tied in a knot. He had it was hanging down, and it was tied in a knot the way you would tie your shoelaces, and it was hanging down. He was just showing that he could do it. But apparently he couldn't have sex. I might have to Google. This is what somebody's told me, so I can't say that it's true. No lawsuits, please, Long Dong Silver. But apparently he found it hard to have. He couldn't have sex. He couldn't get a hard on because when the blood would go to it, he would feel faint because it was almost the blood out of his body, and he would like pass out and stuff like that. So there you go. It's not all rosy with a big penis. So ladies, just realise that those people are suffering and are very sort of got low self-esteem. Apart from the one guy, he was quite happy, but the rest of them, you know, be gentle with them. Let's put it that way. Right, I'm going to finish up on something here. After all that penis talk, it's gone to my head. I'm feeling a little bit lightheaded now, so I've got loads more to go through, but I want to keep it a little bit shorter. So I'm going to finish up on this last one, which was a tortoise which has been reunited with its owner after 15 months on the run. They found him several streets away from Catherine Painter's home. This basically, the tortoise went on the run and only managed to get 15 or several streets away. It's a good job they survived. He obviously was the Rambo of the tortoise world because he's had to survive off the land and on his own merits without any support from his family, and he's managed to come home. He's a GI tortoise, camouflaged already, aren't they? But he hasn't got eaten by any predators like seagulls or whatever. Where are they? Berkshire. Seagulls are everywhere anyway, so he could have. They're in Birmingham, I know that. It kept me awake last time I was there. Right, I'm going to finish up there. So hopefully you've had a good... it's been half decent compared to yesterday's. If not, then give me a message, let me know, send me a message on the Jungle Drums. And remember, if you've got a big penis, we're thinking about you. Anyway, see you later. So I'm going to do another one tomorrow. Catch you later. Bye.